when a bunch of little people die at the same time. It's very economical because you can buy one coffin and load them in like you're loading a rifle.
Right.
It's like putting rounds into a rifle. Just ching, 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 ching. You could put about stuffed 6 in one coffin.
Right.
And just have like a shotgun burial.
You're riding down the Harland Highway.
All right, hold tight on the Harland Highway Show.
Harland Williams.
For breakfast this morning, I had oatmeal with some blueberries and some pecans.
Dude, I don't need someone coming on my podcast and shitting on the stool. Like, that sounds like a nightmare. Do you want to go before we start or what?
I just assume it's why you have this pillow on here. It kind of works as a wee-wee pad.
Well, how about a poo-poo pad is what it sounds like. You don't pee because you eat granola, rhubarb, strawberries, and lettuce or whatever you said. Sound like an endorsement for Soup Plantation over here.
Well, in my house, it's all you can eat for $3.99. So you get all of it. Yeah.
Wow, I'm gonna tell a bunch of homeless people where you live.
Yeah.
You can have them lined up down the street.
1979 prices written right out front.
Look at this. Ladies and gentlemen, before we get going, Greg Fitzsimmons, let's hit the theme music. Yeah, disco, baby. Bringing back the disco. It's the Harland Highway. Well, now that's right. And this is Greg Fitzsimmons. Second time here, buddy.
Second time, which I believe is the record on your podcast, right?
There's a couple that have been twice.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you're the third one to be twice.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But maybe you'll be the first one to be third.
That's my goal. I want to be what Tom Hanks is to Saturday Night Live. I want to be to the Harland Highway.
Oh, is he the all-time most host?
No, maybe it's Alec Baldwin.
Oh. Yeah, I wouldn't get that optimistic. I mean, you're a great guest, but let's not push it,
Let's take
guy.
it one podcast at a time.
Yeah. Wow. Greg brought me a gift, and look at that, gang. This is the Fitz Dog Radio mug. I don't have like an official set mug.
That's
Can
amazing.
This be it?
I would be honored.
Yes.
That would really be an honor for me.
This is great.
Yeah.
And tell the folks right out of the gate about Fitz Dog Radio. By God, if we're gonna have the mug, we gotta have the plug.
It started out as I used to do a show on Howard Stern's channel, which you were on many times.
Yeah, we had fun.
And it was on Sirius XM, and you would come into the studio, and then we would record for his show. We would do his show live. Yeah. And then my producer was like, you're getting these great guests. They're coming all the way in here for a 1 hour show. Why don't we do a podcast afterwards with the same guest? And so we started just really imposing on people and having them stay another hour. Yeah. And then that was 14 years ago, and I got my 1,000th episode coming up next month. Wow,
dude.
Yeah.
What's the Howard Stern experience like? Like I've never done the show. I've never met Howard. And I've heard that overall it's been a good experience, but it seems like a lot of guys that have done his show, there's been like conflict afterwards, like Artie and Jackie the Joke Man, and like what tell us what that experience is like with Howard.
Well, I did the show over 50 times. Wow. I used to go in there all the time. I used to go in there
That's huge.
For like 10 years. I would go in there like every couple months.
And you've done mine how many?
This is, let me check my phone.
Does this help?
2. I think this is the second.
You ever heard the word priorities, guy?
Right.
Okay, so keep going.
So anyway, I did it about 50 times, and then I asked him, I wrote a book, and then I wrote a note to him. And
hold on, you did mine how many?
Your show?
Yeah.
Harland Highway?
You could just recheck, because if you said you did his 50, I think is what you said.
50,
what was mine?
Over 50. I got down here 2.
Okay, just wanted to begin. I didn't mean to cut you off, but I was having trouble calibrating everything.
How many times have you had Jackie the Joke Man on?
Well, that's none.
Is there a plan? Or are people talking?
No, I mean, I had his nun on. He's Catholic. Yeah, she was great.
Jackie's, and she tells nothing but nun jokes.
Yeah, dirty nun
Dirty
jokes.
nun jokes.
Yeah. These sweet nuns walked into a penguin bar. They couldn't tell the difference, so they all had an orgy. And I just made that up right now.
And everybody smelled like fish at the end of it,
Yeah,
didn't they?
They have to. Okay, so
nuns are the greatest because,
oh, here we go.
well,
Oh God.
I mean, we make fun of like Muslim people for the way that they make their women dress. But then you look at a nun and you go, it's a burqa with a skylight. It's the same outfit.
Yeah, that's right.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's the sky. Yeah, they just kind of add more of the face.
Yeah, you get a little bit of face.
Oh, God. Have you ever worn a burqa?
No.
Oh, God, I used to wear one, and I don't... Well, if you're going to laugh, maybe this isn't the podcast for you.
How did I make it back?
I don't know, but you made it back once. Don't push it. But I used to wear a burqa, and in the summer they get crazy. And have you ever heard of a Dutch oven?
Sure.
You fart in a burqa, and I made the mistake. I went through the Taco Bell drive-thru one night in my burqa, and about an hour later, my leg, I had third-degree burns on my legs. They actually could. I went to the ER at Cedars-Sinai. They said, "Sir, were you in a microwave oven?" And I said, "No, I was in my burqa."
Yeah.
And wow, does
more
it
like
get,
a burnka, huh?
Yeah, burnka. It gets ripe.
And so, is that why Muslims don't allow you to eat pork?
Oh, you can't eat pork if you're a Muslim?
Yep.
Yes, you can.
If that's what you say.
No, I'm asking you.
About Muslims?
Can they eat pork?
I can't imagine it's allowed.
Why?
Well, because of the burqa and the farting, and what the pork does to you.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you don't want to be in a burqa and do a good like old fashioned bacon fart?
No.
Wow.
No.
What about eggplant parmesan?
In a burqa?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
No. No, they say Mediterranean diet is the way to go with the burqa.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it keeps it light.
Oh,
and your farts are just...
Yeah. But you know what sucks? Have you ever been around someone and they've got bad breath and it's so strong you can smell it from a few feet?
Yeah.
So imagine if you fart in a burqa.
Yeah.
And there's nowhere for that gas to escape, so it's got to come out like almost like your eyes stink.
Right. And you're inhaling that fart with your mouth.
Yeah.
So now your mouth smells like the fart.
God. So
yeah.
It's almost like who's that X-Men guy that shoots the red laser beam out of his eyes?
Pat Sajak?
Yeah, that's the guy. Yeah. And he also has vowel movements if he eats too much.
Can I buy an A for ass?
But imagine, the burqa, that gas has to escape.
Yeah.
That's just physics, guy.
Right.
And it's just you do a 7.5 pumper.
Right.
And that's just gonna blast out of your eye hole.
Yeah.
Like almost like a Magneto or whatever the guy's name is.
Right.
But
Pat
anyway,
Sajak.
Pat Sajak.
Yeah.
How is that guy still doing Wheel of Fortune?
Well, with Vanna, who is making,
God.
I mean, you talk about,
Wow.
I mean, you and I both started out as young kids with a dream.
Yeah.
I don't know what yours was. Mine was to be a comedian.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
And then you look back at all the possible careers and trajectories that you could have taken in this world. Would you choose any of them over Vanna White's job and the money she makes to do it?
I think where you're going with this, it's an easy gig.
I think so.
Right? It pays ridiculous.
But the hours are amazing.
But at the end of the train, when you're standing there at death's door, and you look back on your life outside of the money you made, what's your sense of accomplishment? I mean, Pat Sajak told people to spin a wheel for 50 years, and she flipped letters for 50 years.
Yeah,
is that the legacy you want?
I think that's when you're jumping up and down, pumping your fist, going, "I won." Really, I won.
But integrity-wise, are you fulfilled with that?
Fuck yes.
So it's just about making bank in this lifetime.
The whole art thing is overrated.
Really? So you wouldn't rather have like a novel that you slaved over for 6 years?
You'd have all day to write the novel. You only tape for 45 minutes a day.
Right, but not that her nor Pat have done anything like that.
I bet you she has a book.
She probably does.
I guarantee she has a book.
An ABC book.
I bet she's got an ABC book, and I bet she's got like a line of perfumes or hair products or something that sells on QVC for a ton of money.
Burka spray.
Burka spray. Oh, that's the solution.
That's it. Nobody's come out with that.
Right.
Or just right down the eye hole.
Yeah.
Right in the old eye hole.
Right.
So Howard Stern.
Oh, yeah. So,
because this is a guy that's not in my wheelhouse. I don't think he's ever asked me to be on. I don't even know if he knows I exist, but all my buddies have done it. So what was it like? What was the experience?
Well, you walk in and you see the whack packers. There's always like a little person who's pissed himself on the couch when you walk in. And then there's a security guard who's 70. It's weird.
He's got a thing. It's almost like a freak show. Like he likes people with speech impediments and mentally challenged and mutants and
drug addicts, alcoholics.
He likes that. Why? Because it's sort of an easy comedy target, or
I see him as like P.T. Barnum. He knows how to assemble the freaks.
He's the ringmaster.
He's the ringmaster, and then he plays off, and then he's the straight guy in the middle of it all.
And also, when you have a collection of kind of mutants like that, it kind of makes you look all the more intelligent and all the more in charge, sort of. Is it manipulation? Is it taking advantage, or is it all good, clean fun?
I think it's clean fun, because then these people who and you know, I can see both sides of that.
Yeah.
But the way I've always seen it as is that these people who would have lived lives of obscurity are suddenly now like celebrities, and they go on tour on the weekends and they do stand-up comedy. Really bad stand-up comedy. In like Holiday Inns on Route 9 and Teaneck and mattress openings, and they're famous, and they have big social media followings, and they do Patreons, and they have kind of an exciting life. And are they the butt of the joke? Yeah, on some level. But they also he also treats them with a certain dignity. So it doesn't seem as usury as maybe
it seems to me. I haven't listened to him a lot, but it seems like you're right. He treats them with a certain dignity, but I'd say, to me, it sounds split. It's like half of it's indignity.
Yes.
Like he sort of mocks and uses them as comedy fuel, but then he also sort of treats them with respect to a degree. So I'm kind of mixed on that. But when these guys go out and do these gigs, are they attracting fellow mutants, for lack of a better term? Like, is the audience full of people with speech impediments and...
No.
Okay.
That would be fun.
That would be pretty wild.
That would be pretty wild if they just attracted their... Like Eric the Midget would just have midgets coming out.
Yeah.
Well, actually, they called him Eric the Little Person, and then he died. But, I wonder a lot of them die. That was the thing, is that every time, I felt like I had this curse. Every time I would do the show, you would show up, and they would be like, oh, Monkey Man died.
Was he a midget?
He had Harry. No, I don't know. I made that one up. I don't know all their names.
Oh, okay.
But they would always die, and I would be like, I would fly myself in from California to do the show.
Oh, wow.
And, put myself in a hotel.
Wait, he didn't pay for any of this?
No.
Wow, okay.
And then
the multi-trillionaire didn't pay for any of this.
No. And then I would go on the show, and then and I'm all set with some funny stuff to say, and instead we end up talking about a guy who had a crack disorder, and he died, and now we're talking about that the whole time.
So he'd take you all off your prepped material, and he'd talk about mutants.
Right.
The interesting just occurred to me, when a bunch of little people die at the same time, it's very economical, because you can buy one coffin and load them in like you're loading a rifle.
Right.
It's like putting rounds into a rifle, just ching, 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 ching. You could put about stuffed 6 in one coffin.
Right.
And just have like a shotgun burial.
And then at the cemetery, do a 21 little person salute and shoot them into the air. Yes.
With like a Roman catapult or something.
But one of them is still alive. That's the fun part.
Oh, God, like a pumpkin toss thing?
Yeah.
Have you ever seen that thing where they put pumpkins and they fling them across the field?
Yeah.
But you do it with a little guy.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Do you aim for anything, or is it just like you aiming for a bus or a highway or
you're just aiming
a park?
I think you're just aiming for a good time, you know?
Yeah, that is a good time.
Yeah, it's not about the destination. It's about the journey.
The journey.
Yeah.
Good point.
Right.
I wanted to hit on you because obviously we're Irish guys, right?
Oh, right. It was St. Patrick's Day.
We did the Irish
day, yeah.
show with you the other day.
I can't thank you enough. Honestly, Harland, I know we joke around a lot and we make fun of each other because of, you know, your looks or your career or whatever. But when you came out and you did that show the other night, you absolutely followed a bunch of killers. I mean, you know, Owen Smith came out and killed. Bill Burr came out and killed. And then you just took it to another level. You were so goddamn good.
Thank you, buddy.
Yeah.
Thank you. It was fun. You know, it meant something to me because it was like an Irish themed night.
Yeah.
And you put clovers all over the wall.
We had Irish music.
Yeah, and it's like that's part of my heritage. So it was like it was kind of there's something that goes a little deeper when I was at that thing. You know, it's a club I played a million times. Yeah. But I actually did connect with the Irish theme, and it resonated with me.
Awesome.
So thank you.
That's great.
That stuff's important to me because, you know, a lot of times you don't really hear about. It's mostly, you know, people talk about minorities and things like that. But you know, Irish people, we're just kind of existing. And so when something pops up culturally like that, I actually really enjoyed that.
Well, I remembered that the last time I was here, you showed me these great pictures of your mother's side of the family, the Sullivans,
the O'Donnells.
The O'Donnells,
The O'Donnells.
And you were very proud. I remember you were very proud showing me those pictures. And did you get the Irish soda bread? Did you get any of that?
I didn't have anything to eat. I don't like to eat before I go on.
Not even just a little piece of Irish soda bread with some butter on it?
I didn't. And you know what? I'm going to be honest. I feel horrible now. I don't know what Irish soda bread is. What is that?
Well, it's a traditional bread. It's almost like a cakey bread with it's got raisins and caraway seeds in it, and you make it with buttermilk, and it's very, very moist and delicious. And my friend Laureen challenged me. She said that her mother's Irish soda bread was the best, and my mother's is handed down for generations. And people literally, I've never had anybody eat it that did not say, this is the greatest thing I've ever eaten in my life. It's so good.
Damn, I wish I'd tried it.
So I challenged her, and so we each baked 2 big Irish soda breads. So we had 4 Irish soda breads.
Wait, you baked?
Yeah, I baked them.
Did you bake them in your burqa?
I did, yeah.
Irish soda bread in the burqa. Yeah. That's got to be the moistest.
It's like whiskey in a cedar barrel. Yeah.
Wow.
And so...
You know cedar's a tree, right? It's a type of wood.
Right.
Okay. Some people don't know what cedar is. You say, what's cedar? They go, cedar, I barely know. I mean, they don't even know.
Who?
Cedar. Cedar's a type of wood.
I know, but who didn't know that?
People that don't know timber. I mean, have you ever heard of a cedar canoe, a cedar strip canoe? A cedar plank smoked salmon? Yes. Cedars, you know.
Cedar planks in cedar hangers people use in their closets because it keeps the moths away.
So you know.
Yeah.
Okay. The Irish thing, though, one thing that I think you've probably been brought up with this, but I don't know. I hope you have. But did any of your grandparents or your parents have little Irish sayings? I feel like because we had this one. My grandmother used to say, "May you be in heaven a half hour before the devil knows you're dead."
Right.
Like I don't know if other cultures have that. Did you have one that was like?
Well, all 4 of my grandparents came over from Ireland.
Wow.
And I didn't meet 2 of them because my father's parents died in their 40s.
Oh wow.
And so I never met them. And so I just knew my mother's parents.
Yeah.
And he used to recite old Irish limericks.
Oh, do you know any off the top?
Up the airy mountain and down the rocky glen, we 4 go hunting for fear of little men. I used to know the whole thing. It was a whole like epic story about hunting for these little midgets in Ireland.
Yeah. We got a theme going here.
Should we invite Brad Williams to this podcast?
No.
So
no one would see him. This thing's 6 feet high.
But he would say things like, I would say, "How you doing, Grandpa?" And he'd go, "Tips and all, I can't complain."
Tips and all. Oh, so like kind of like a pub reference.
Yeah.
Can I read you one? My mother gave me one.
Oh, great.
That I sort of live by, and it's like she kind of gave it to me as sort of when your parents give you stuff as a kid, you're like, oh yeah, great, right? Yeah. But I've always kept it, and I put it up in my.
Isn't that nice?
I put it up in my kitchen, so I see it every day, and it's really resonated with me through life, and I've sort of tried to live by this. But let me share it with you.
Okay.
Do you want an Irish accent or just regular?
Oh, obviously an Irish accent.
Okay.
Yeah.
I be the road of life. I expect to pass through this world but once. Any good, therefore, that I can do, or any kindness that I can show to any fellow creature, let me do it now, for I shall not pass this way again.
Beautiful.
Isn't that cool? It's simple, but it's like whenever somebody does me wrong, or I feel like somebody's, sometimes you meet people that are just pricks, or you meet someone that maybe needs a hand, or I always go to this and I go, let's just help them.
Pass through once.
Yeah, like be kind.
Yep.
And so I love that one. I have a few other ones I found on the internet. I didn't write these; they weren't from my parents. But if you'd like to hear them,
I love them.
Great.
I'm trying to think if I have another one from mine.
This one's for truck drivers say this. Do you know any truck drivers?
Of course.
Okay, my
friend Gary Bazanski lives down in Georgia.
What's he haul?
Interstate. I'm not sure what, but he goes down to Florida a lot.
Probably manatees.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope he has a refrigerated truck.
I don't know how they identify. Could be manatees.
Oh, right. Itities.
Could be itities.
Theities.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't say the M word anymore.
No.
Yeah, you got to have a refrigerated truck because those things, when they start to go, when they turn, they stink like a killer whale sunbathing at Kenny G's fucking day spa.
Right. The only thing you can do is get a burqa and put them in it and get them out of there as quick as possible.
A manatee in a burqa?
Yeah.
Oh, that's like a pastrami sandwich at low tide. Holy fuck. Suck me in the seaweed, bro. Holy shit.
Coney Island in August. You're bringing me back.
Here's a little inspirational passage that the truck drivers use when they're out on the road. I hope you like it. Though life's road be long and meandering, and the miles may never end, the twists and turns never ending, a new town around every bend. And for every smelly truck stop I pull into, they smell better than your wife. And for every pothole I pound with my big rig, I pound your wife twice as hard when you're out of town on business trips. Oh, she's a rider, a dirty midnight rider. Oh, she's a hairy rider. Honk, honk, beep, beep. Spread 'em, you dirty, jacked up cowboy. And I didn't write that, I promise.
That just seemed like it turned around the third stanza.
Yeah.
I mean, that guy's been on the road a long time.
Truck drivers, they don't got it easy.
No, and when they can get themselves a woman, they don't care whose it is.
Yeah, they'll just take. And they've probably already been through every frozen manatee in the back of the truck. So when they go, they go.
Well, well, look. When you're sitting behind the wheel of an 18-wheeler,
here we go,
big rig,
and
then you see a woman in maybe like a Dodge Neon, one of those I just got out of college a couple years ago, I don't have a lot of money, and then she drives past you and she makes the fist and pulls the fist down, a couple times for the honk, we know what she's doing, we know what's going on, and we know what's going to happen next.
So I think where you're going, she wants him to pull over at the nearest Denny's or truck stop.
That's right.
Get in the back of his rig. Yep. Some sweet Route 66 lovin' or 69. Route 69, lovin'. And I got you.
Although you could do 66. I mean, I guess if you did her doggy style, that would be like a 66, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah. Yeah, it's, and maybe, I guess if you're just doing traditional intercourse, that would be what, an 11? Because it's two people laying on top of each other?
That would be an 11. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's two ones.
Right. And then maybe if you didn't meet a woman and then you pulled over at Denny's and you got in the back and you pleasured yourself, that would be like a 4.
Oh, yeah. Might want to raise your hand a little. Yeah, just
like a
so
4.
people don't think. Yeah.
Oh, like a 4.
A 4, yeah.
Right
in your own mouth.
Yeah.
And then, I always thought 69ers too should, I think only 2 people can technically really do them. A pregnant woman and a guy with a beer belly. Right? Because you got 6 beer belly and 9 beer pregnant.
Yeah.
So you put those opposite each other.
Yeah.
Technically, that's when you're really doing a 69.
Yeah.
So a pregnant woman just about to give birth to an infant child's got a beer belly guys right in her face or vice versa.
Yeah.
And I feel sick.
And you got to hope they're not under the covers because there's a lot of smells with both those conditions.
Yeah. And what if her water breaks?
Then it's a 61.
Yeah.
Because she lost her belly.
Right. It just goes flat. Yeah.
Right.
God, I didn't know you were so good with numbers.
Well, my wife's Jewish, so
she is.
It rubs off a little bit.
So when you two have sex, what number is that?
It's a 69, but that's because I'm a 6 and she's a 9. So even though we're having normal sex,
sure,
it's a 69.
Might be a 0 after she hears this. Here's another one that I got, and I didn't write these.
No.
I need you to know that.
You get on the World Wide Web, I guess?
got on the www.worldwideweb.com, and just by fluke, here's a little motivational, like saying serial killers do.
Oh.
Who knew that they had a little thing? Do you want this one in an Irish accent?
No, if it's a serial killer, I would say probably Korean.
Okay, I can do that, my friend. May the years treat you right and merry. May you leave one of your windows unlocked. You turn on the lights and it's scary. Standing over you with my gun cocked. May the duct tape be kind to your skin. May the rope grip you the way your psychological trauma grips your mind. And may the taste of a human femur make you cheery and kind. Is that, I mean, I can't tell if that was North or South Korean. Damn serial killers.
I just don't know that I could have picked a better accent for that. That made it so much creepier.
And I don't think technically, has there ever been a Korean serial killer?
No, never.
That's what's so mean.
No.
Yeah.
Right.
Has there?
Well, Bobby Lee is certainly capable of it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But I don't think he's acted
human
on it
flesh.
yet.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You know what? There was this guy in California back in the 80s. There was a guy named Charles Ng.
Really?
NG, I think, is how you spell it.
Yeah.
Who knows how they spell? NG.
Yeah.
Not a great last name in today's world.
It's great if you're stuck on a crossword puzzle.
Yeah, right?
You know?
But Charles Ng, so I remember this story stuck out because I was living in Canada, and Charles Ng lived in Northern California, and he was an Asian guy. I don't know if he was Korean, Asian. Him and another guy kidnapped families and built a prison. They built like a 11-cell prison.
Really?
On some like vacant land. They owned the land, but some remote land in Northern California. And they tortured and killed. It was horrible. But
wait a minute. Are you sure this wasn't Mayberry RFD?
No. What's Mayberry RFD?
Like the one with Richie Cunningham when he was a kid and his father with Andy Griffith. You sure this wasn't the Andy
with
Griffith
Opie?
show?
No, maybe.
Because it sounds very similar.
Very violent, yeah.
They had that jail and they used to put people in there.
Yeah, with Barney Fife.
Yeah.
No, this was Charles Ng.
Wow.
And
this sounds crazy.
This is crazy. You can look this up on
You're not making this up.
This is real because I remember, lived up. This was sort of at the beginning when, you know, there hadn't been a lot of like mass killings and guys that did this creepy like bone collector stuff. And this was the first one. And I remember me and my buddies were just like, holy crap. And I think they got him on a parking ticket or something.
That's how it always goes.
It's always something really
Tail
weird.
Light, right.
And they went to the property and there was literally piles of charred remains. Like he would do whatever they do, not just with one person. They'd get the family or the kids or the both adults. And dude, it was crazy.
Right.
And
the worst is when they'll rape the father and they make the children watch.
Oh, God.
Which as a kid has just got to be so bittersweet, depending on your relationship with your father.
Yeah. I mean, you're either rooting or you're crying.
Right. Maybe.
Daddy, you shouldn't have spanked me.
Yep.
You had it coming, old man.
That's right.
Take it like an ing.
Take it like an ing.
Take it right up the ing.
Yeah.
I have one more because you brought it up earlier, the woke thing. And this is the woke person sort of.
And just so if people are listening, they don't know what woke is. Can you explain it in a layman's terms?
Yeah, woke is kind of people that are uber sensitive about titles and everything going on in society.
Yeah.
They're very protective about gender and all anything kind of a hot topic. They're very woke about social issues.
And how is that helping?
I don't know that it is. I think it's
Interesting.
doing more damage than it is good.
Okay.
But they do have their own little thing, and this is it. For the woke, here's their little saying: it, they, them, gender binary, gender neutral, toxic masculinity, thing one and thing two, Dr. Seuss.
Yes.
And it's a short and simple one,
but you can live by it.
And it's motivational.
Yeah.
You're walking around, you're having a down woke day, and you're like, boom, drop that.
Right.
So anyways.
There was a book by Charlie Kaufman. You know Charlie Kaufman, the great director?
Yeah.
Inside Being John Malkovich and
okay, I didn't know that was him, but I know the material. Yeah, Being John Malkovich.
He wrote a novel that was the protagonist was a woke kind of like a woke clown, and he used the word, he referred to himself as a thon. That's how he identified.
Wow,
thon.
My buddy Theo refers to himself as that too.
No, he doesn't.
Yeah, Theo Vaughn.
Yeah.
You know, it's getting so crazy. We do stand up.
Sure.
And I was doing a show the other night on stage, and I did a knock-knock joke. I was like, I go, knock-knock, and before I could even get finished, some lady stood up. She goes, hey, you can't say knock-knock. Homeless people don't have doors. And I said, lady, you are woke. Yeah. And she goes, no, you can't say woke, because if you take the E off of woke, that's walk. That's cultural appropriation. And I said, well, woke backwards is Ewok. So nub gub, yub nub, gub nub you fat fucking lady.
You said lady, luckily.
Yeah, I said lady, luckily. But
that's the thing is they what about Chewbacca? My son was watching the original Star Wars the other day, and I was realizing that Chewbacca is kind of interesting, right? Because they would either treat him as a pet or as a military genius, depending on which film it was.
Well, I'm just trying to be woke, and you're talking about Ewoks or Wookiees. I'm
just offended by the Wookiee joke that you just told.
Well,
you told it in Wookiee. Other people, if they don't speak it, don't realize that you just maligned Pacific Islanders. Yes, they have big heads, Harland. They don't know why they have them. It's not the pineapple. Nope, it's not the sand. Yes, they're special people.
See? Yeah. That's all I'm trying to say, guy. I did a little research, and I don't know if you know this, but if you shave Chewbacca, it's Kenny G under there.
Is that right?
Yeah.
You just leave the beard part.
Just leave the beard, and it's he's creepy. Looks like have you ever seen a parrot with all his feathers plucked?
Yeah.
That's what a Kenny G looks like naked. You just shave that hair off, give him a full body Brazilian, and
And can you sing? You got to know when to hold him, know when to fold him as an Ewok?
An Ewok or a Wookiee?
As a Wookiee, I mean.
I think I just threw my ass out. Ow. God, it ain't easy being a Wookiee guy.
I can't believe you did all 3 verses. That
well,
was
you
impressive.
asked. Look, you asked.
Right.
I'm here to please.
Yeah.
Speaking of, we were talking about serial killers and
Right,
death. This is a weird, and I'm curious about this. We talked about loading the short people into the coffins.
Mm-hmm.
Have you thought about, like, and I know it's morbid, but have you thought about, like, when you pass? Like, have you made arrangements, or you just want, like, I'm one of these guys, I'm just like, I've got a will, but I haven't looked at it in 20 years. I don't have
You've got a will, but you don't have a way.
I have a way. I don't have a way, and I haven't thought about where I'm going to be buried. Right. I don't have a plot.
Right.
I don't really. Have you thought about this? Have you mapped out death? I hate to even.
Well, because I have kids, I have set up a trust where if I die, I have a life insurance policy.
Okay.
It's $1 million. I know that sounds like a lot, but you have to understand that my wife is accustomed to a certain way of living.
Yeah.
And I think with that failure and disappointment, there should be a payoff for her someday.
Yeah.
So I got the $1 million policy.
Great.
And it pays into the trust so that they don't have to pay taxes on it.
Yeah.
But as far as my arrangements, and it's interesting you bring this up because I have a business idea.
Ooh,
and I'm not kidding about this.
Okay. I have one too now that you mentioned it. You go first.
Mine is a website that you get a membership to, and you pay $5 a month or whatever.
Yeah.
And the website has all the information for your funeral. It's got the guest list, everybody, their addresses updated. And you go into this site once in a while and you update it.
Yeah.
And you put down who you want to give your eulogy. You maybe even have a couple bullet points about some stories that he might tell.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding about
this.
What kind of flowers you want, your playlist for the funeral
Yeah.
itself. Like,
I love it.
A photo basket filled with photos that you would like printed and put up at your funeral.
Yeah.
And whether or not you want a priest, whether or not you want to be buried, like it's got all your financial information about who gets paid what, the will, everything is in one place on the site so that when you die, you ever see a family get thrown into the chaos of a loved one dying
it's crazy.
unexpectedly?
Yeah.
And you got 3 days to put a fucking funeral on and you don't know where to start.
Yeah.
Well, now it's all done.
Yeah. I love that because I've often thought, when somebody dies, it's everything you said. You go to these funeral homes, which are about as much fun as kicking a baby seal in the balls.
Well,
and you go and they're grim.
Yeah.
And there's different rooms. Like there's
other people going to another funeral right next to your funeral.
There's stiffies all over the place. And it's very grim and there's organ music and there's flowers and the coffin's open. And I thought, why doesn't somebody start like sort of a rock and roll-ish funeral home?
Oh, I like that.
Where it's got all the kind of entrappings you talked about, but it's also sort of upbeat, and maybe there's a stage where people can get up and tell stories, and there's nice food, and it's sort of a more upbeat, festive celebration of their life rather than the mourning of the death.
I like that. I like that a lot.
It's just
that's why I like the idea of like listing the stories that you want each of your friends to tell. Because you want people to laugh. Who wants people to cry at their funeral? We all want people to laugh at our funeral.
Yeah.
And there was a guy, I saw a TikTok video of a guy in England.
Yeah.
And he had, before he died, I guess he knew he was dying, and he made a recording and they put it in the coffin. Did you see this?
I've seen that, yeah.
He starts knocking.
Yes.
Saying,
they sunk it like 6 feet into the ground.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you hear, "Let me out, I'm not dead." And everyone's like freaking, I love, see, that's what I mean.
And then they all get it. They all got it and they all started laughing. Yeah.
And even though it's a sad affair, it reminds you of his sense of humor. It reminds you of what a great spark he was in life.
Right.
And it lifts the energy of the thing that's so sad, because you can't stop death. It's part of, we all got it coming, kid.
That's right.
So, I think what would be cool too, do you want to be cremated or buried?
It feels a little selfish to take up a piece of real estate on the earth for your, for your existence. Like, I should live forever. I don't know.
Yeah. And does anyone ever go? Like, have you ever gone to a graveyard and visited?
My father died. It'll be 30 years next month that my father died, and I think I've been to his grave once.
Yeah. And it's not out of disrespect. I think it's more out of you don't want to go and once again be in that grim surrounding because it's very sort of depressing.
Right.
So what I think people should do now that they've legalized marijuana is we should have dispensaries where you can go and they put the ashes in some rolling papers and you can smoke your wife, you can smoke your dead daughter, you can smoke your sister. Anyways, how have you been? What have you been up to?
Wow.
No, you don't smoke. You don't smoke, I guess.
I don't smoke dead people. I mean,
do you see dead people?
I do see dead people, yeah.
So if you can see one, why won't you smoke one?
I just worry about what they ingested in their life and what I would be putting into my body. Like if I knew that they were grass-fed,
okay,
if they were free-range people
organic,
that died, organic, then I would smoke. But I don't know what toxins are in that.
You don't want to like smoke your dad and get breast cancer.
Exactly. Yes.
Oh, smart guy.
Yeah. How did you know that's how he died?
Because I smoked some of them.
Oh.
And I've been feeling a little sick lately.
Yeah, I wouldn't smoke
my
any more
tits
of
feel
that.
heavy.
Yeah.
My tits have been swinging real low lately,
Yeah.
guy.
Yeah.
I think it's because I smoked your breast cancer-riddled dad. And then the guy, he go down and he smashed the people in the face with the crowbar.
What's crazy is that you conjured up. It really was Korean. It wasn't Chinese.
Yeah.
It wasn't Japanese. That was Korean.
It was pretty good. Yeah, it was pretty good.
Where did you? What was your reference for that? Because usually when I do an accent, I think of somebody who's from that country that I'm friends with.
I dated a girl from Korea named
you did?
Me Too. And it was horrible. When we'd go up for big dinners, she'd go in the bathroom after and have a giant Me Too movement.
Oh.
And it was...
Yeah.
Yeah, it was... it's been hard. The Me Too movement's been hard for me. Yeah.
And then if you guys would go out, would she post a picture of you guys on Instagram and then write Me Too underneath, and that would cause
a lot of
scandal.
Yeah.
Wow.
Have you ever dated an Asian woman?
I never did.
Okay.
No.
I think the first girl I really fell in love with was a Japanese girl in high school. Oh, my God.
What was her name?
Judy Nishikawa.
Really?
And she'd sit beside me. And it was in those days back in the 70s when clogs were a thing. People wore the clogs.
Yeah.
And I didn't think anything of it, but she'd come and sit beside me in English class. And I went to a Catholic school, so all the girls had the little skirt on.
Sure.
But back then you didn't...
It wasn't sexualized.
It's men who sexualize it. When you're a boy, you're just like, oh, look at this stupid uniform.
Right.
But she'd sit beside me, and it was just like, oh, there's Judy. And then every class, I just sort of felt like some kind of invisible force. And I realized, oh my God. And then I'd go home at night, and I'd just like think about her, and I just like fell in love with her.
Did you ever ask her out?
I did.
And you dated?
I didn't date her. It was the weirdest thing. It was literally driving me insane.
Yeah.
It was.
How old were you?
This was when I was about 17, 18. And I was still a virgin. I'd never had like a real steady girlfriend. And just being in her proximity, I was just like, I could feel this thing in my heart growing. And I would dream about, I wouldn't dream, but I'd daydream about her. And I'd go, oh my God, I think I'm in love.
My father felt like he had something growing in his chest also.
That would have been the cancer lump.
You should check that out.
Yeah.
So did she feel this way about you?
So here's what happened. It got to the point where I couldn't take it anymore. And we'd become friends. We were like socially friends. And I just said, hey, Judy, can we go out on hang out one night? She said, sure. So I took her for a drive, and I didn't know where to go. And we just drove. It was nighttime. We drove up into the country. And I was just trying to like figure out what to say to her. And we got right in the middle of nowhere, like farm country. And there was an old church. And I said, let's just stop here. We got out. It was like 10 at night. The moon's out. We sat on the church steps. And I said, I have to do this. And I said, Judy, I really like you. I said, I don't know what you're going to say.
Yeah.
I don't know if you like me. I said, I just have to tell you. Like it was just, and she said, Harland, you're a really nice guy. I really like you, but I don't feel the same. And instead of being like crushed, I was so overwhelmed with being able to get that out of my soul and out of my heart and just say it to her.
Right.
Even though she rejected me, I felt like $1,000,000. And I was like, I said, okay, I get it. And then like the next few days when I went home, I was like sort of crushed up that she didn't like me. But in the moment, I was just glad I communicated it to her because I had to get it out.
Right. And the fact that you left her at that farmland.
Yeah.
I mean, why? What would she expect?
Yeah.
You know?
She had a long walk home. She should have said yes.
With those clogs on, too.
Yeah. It's a long clog. It's a log clog home.
You hear her coming.
Yeah. I think she log rolled home, actually. She had the clogs on. Yeah, rolled right down the highway.
The Harland Highway.
The Harland Highway.
Yeah.
It's not an easy ride.
No.
Hey, everybody. Check out my merchandise at harbling.com. Yeah, most people just slap some letters or images on a t-shirt or a hoodie, but not me. Yours truly. Guess what? I draw my own designs. At harbling.com, you can see tons of my hand-drawn t-shirts. You can either buy the original or you can buy a print. And man, oh man, wear them loud and proud. I love making these designs for you guys and keeping it personal. So check out the whole catalog. We got hoodies, we got coffee mugs, we got t-shirts, you name it, it's there at harbling.com. Get your Harland original design, wearable art at harbling.com today. And thank you for your support. And I'll just keep the groovy images coming. So last time we were here, we talked about your book.
Oh boy,
your writer.
Sure.
And I don't know if everyone knows this about you, but I know you wrote on the Ellen Show.
I did
for a while. Like Howard Stern, Ellen DeGeneres.
Yep.
Was she? And I'm not asking for any stories out of school, but was she as tyrannical as she's sort of been made out to be now, or was she in a different place? I think you wrote for her, what, about 8 or 9 years ago, was it?
More, no. I wrote for her in the first 2 seasons, so that would have been 19 years ago.
Of her talk show.
Right.
And did you get the sense that she was sort of a tyrant and an and if you don't want to say, you don't have to.
The truth is I signed a non-disclosure agreement, which I don't know if it's still in effect since the show's no longer on the air. And
do you think someone would even come after you? But that being said, I respect whatever you want to say or don't say.
I'll just say, in kind terms, I want to be political.
Yeah.
She was very gracious at first because, her career was not going well when she got that talk show.
Right.
She was out working comedy clubs. She was probably working the same clubs we were.
Okay.
After her sitcom went away.
Yeah, right.
And then nobody would touch her. And it wasn't, she wants to say it was because she was gay, nobody would hire her. It's like, no, it's because you made your sitcom about gayness.
Right,
and it stopped being really funny. It started to become something that had an agenda to
it. Really?
That's why the show went off the air. Nobody rejected her for being gay.
Yeah.
But anyway, it
became too preachy or something?
Yeah, it got very pedantic. And so but that's just my opinion. But the truth is things were not going well. So she got this opportunity to do a talk show.
Yeah.
And she was very gracious about it. She was very grateful for it. And she was very kind to the writers. And then,
oh, good.
And that lasted 3 months. And then we won the Emmy for the show and for the writing staff.
Yeah.
And then things changed.
Really?
Things changed very quickly. And as the show got more successful, things changed even more.
It was that quickly? Was that noticeable?
Yeah.
And I know you're not inside her head, but did that come from a place of empowerment, or did that come from a place, do you think, hey, we've hit this milestone, I want to protect it, so I'm going to be more aggressive to make sure we keep building on this? Or was it just a pure, do you think, power trip, like ego thing?
I can't talk to that. I can just say my experience was that it became less pleasant over time. And after 2 years, it was time to go.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ellen, I've always thought she was a really great stand-up comedian.
Great. That's why I wanted to write for the show. I was so excited when I heard she had a show. Yeah.
Yeah, and my first television job acting on TV was on her sitcom.
No kidding.
So she had 2 sitcoms. She had a sitcom. Her first one was called These Friends of Mine.
Uh-huh.
And that lasted, I think, about a year and a half. And then Friends came out during that. And I think the names got kind of freaky, like Friends, These Friends of Mine, and it got canceled. And then they came back with the Ellen DeGeneres sitcom, the one where she came out.
Right.
So my first acting gig ever was with her. I guest starred on These Friends of Mine.
No kidding.
And she was super nice. And so what the reason I'm asking, because when I heard she's kind of taken this kind of arc where people kind of paint her in a bad light now, I was like, oh, that's unfortunate. But if it is unfortunate and she's responsible for it, then that's on her, I guess, right?
Yeah. I mean, who knows? Look, we're all born with circumstances.
Yeah.
And we're also born with a certain genetic makeup. And some people
were you circumstanced or no?
I'm uncircumstanced.
Okay.
Yeah, which girls think is weird.
Yeah.
But
well, you just said we're all born with circumstance, and I know I'm not. But anyways, back to Ellen.
I can't point a finger at her or judge her because I don't know what she's been through in her life.
Yeah.
I just know that my experience there was it's not that great.
Well, it's interesting you said that because when you do get in a position where you're kind of the title person or you've got a thing that you've created or generated, and then all these other forces come at it.
Yeah.
And I don't know the story behind Ellen or not, but you do get a sense of you want to rally around what you have and protect it.
Yeah.
And when you do have a show or a talk show or whatever, or you write a book, there's always people from the outside that want to come in and maybe change it or manipulate it.
Right.
And I remember I always used to be mad at Roseanne because you'd hear these stories about her when she had the Roseanne show and how she was so problematic and she was very combative and she was this and that. And I thought, girl, you got your own sitcom.
Yeah.
But then there came a time where I had my own sitcom and all these forces were coming at the show. And when you're the center of the show, it's like there's people that don't necessarily are looking out for your best interest. And so you've got to sort of push back and be strong and aggressive. Right. So I wondered if maybe that was something Ellen was dealing with.
I don't think so.
Tough.
I don't think that she felt that there were people that were creatively coming after her in any way. I think she had the full support of the studio and the network and her showrunners, and I think everybody was in line. I don't think that's what it was, because I agree with you. I think that Roseanne replaced a lot of showrunners, but when Roseanne got that show, it was her show, and she wasn't like allowed in the writer's room at first. She had to fight her way in, and she had to fight her way into getting the kind of people that were writing the kind of stuff that she wasn't into, but the network said, you have to have this guy. He's the best.
Yeah.
And you get him, he's like, yeah, he was the best at writing a show about this.
Right.
But this is a show about me.
Ugh.
So I've always been on Roseanne's side on that. As Norm Macdonald, who was one of her first writers, was also her writer on the reboot of the show. That's how much he still loved her.
Well, you want to hear a funny story with Norm? When Norm and I used to be best buddies back in the day. Yeah, okay. And when Norm moved down to L.A. a year before I did, and Norm was asked by the Roseanne show, they wanted to hire him, and they asked Norm to write an episode of Roseanne. Uh-huh. And Norm wasn't a writer. He'd never written anything. So he called me up. I was still in trying. He goes, hey, man, I gotta write an episode of Roseanne, man. And I go, yeah. And he goes, I don't know how to do it. And I said, you want me to do it for you? And he goes, yeah. And I'd never written a TV show, but I went in and I studied. And so I wrote the episode.
No way.
I've still got it. It's called No Man is an Island. And it was an episode where one of Roseanne's kids finds a homeless guy and brings him into the home.
That's great.
And so I wrote this episode for Norm, never put my name on it. I said, Norm, this is for you. He was my buddy. I wanted to help. I said, I hope it works. Hand it in. I don't know if that was the catalyst for him getting the job. I don't even know if he handed in. I don't remember, but I just remember doing that for Norm way back then. Yeah,
that's amazing.
I still got it. I should pull it out one day and read it. It was the first TV script I ever wrote.
Really?
And I just did it on a whim so I could help my buddy.
It's a great idea. I love the idea.
Yeah, it was a fun episode. But yeah, that's what people don't know about, like, the TV world and shows and sitcoms. There's an element when you're on it, there's a lot of things and people coming at you, and you have to protect it. And
you're also new at it. You know, it's like,
new.
You don't know this world, and these people are sharks. They know these waters.
Dude, when I had a sitcom back in the 90s. I was the star of a sitcom called Simon.
Of course.
I was Simon, and Jason Bateman played my brother. Mm-hmm. And I'd never done this, and I thought, I want this to be great. We had a whole season, and I said one day, can we get all the writers in a room for lunch, and we all sit at a table and just kind of go around and meet each other and talk, and it was just a thing about, I thought if we were all communicating, we would have a better show. We could all exchange ideas. So we went around. One guy was from here. One guy, we got to like the fourth girl, and yeah, you know, one guy's like, I used to write on Friends. I used to write on Roseanne. I used to write on this. And then we got to this one girl. She goes, yeah, I'm a jeweler. And we were like, wait, what? She goes, yeah, my uncle is the showrunner. I mean, wait, you work, what, have you ever written? She goes, no, I work in a jewelry store, but now I'm a writer. And I just went, holy fuck, this is how this works, right? And I'm not even joking. Yeah, and she had a good heart. I'm not mocking her. Like in Hollywood, you take it when you can get it, but you could tell this wasn't her world. Yeah, like she, and so that when the light went off, I went, wow, this TV and movies, they're not all pure. No. They start with pure people with ideas, but then all these forces come in, you know?
I was a showrunner on this show for this guy, and he was new to TV, so he was really leaning on me to help him. Okay. And so we had to hire a you know, and it doesn't sound like a big deal, but the writer's assistant is actually a really important job. Oh, yeah. Show. They really have to be sharp and know what they're doing. Yeah. And I started getting a lot of pressure. The guy whose show it was with a management company.
Oh, boy.
And that management company was a producer on the show, which is often what happens. Yeah. And so they then told me that the guy who was the head of the company had a nephew who was going to be the writer's assistant. And I said, well, can you send me his resume? And they said, he works in a bakery.
Yeah, right beside the jewelry store.
Do you have him from a jewelry store? And so I got the resume, and there was nothing on it, and he came in, and I mean, it was just like we were there till 3 a.m. every night because he couldn't type a script, and he didn't know how to publish a script so that the network could see it, and the studio could see it, and the actors could see it. He didn't know any of that stuff, and it was a disaster.
Yeah, there's so many people in the chain, and I hope I don't sound mean, but there's a lot, not so many, but there's a lot of people in the creative chain that aren't necessarily qualified to be there and trip the projects or the creative up. Right. And it's very frustrating. Yeah. Very frustrating. Have you ever been in a position where you've had to cop an attitude, where you've been in whether it's being in, you know, doing a stand-up show or writing, where you've kind of been you know, and you knew you were doing it, like kind of like putting up the shields and being kind of the guy, but knowing you had to do it just for your own self-preservation almost?
Yeah, I mean, I've had like, I had a pilot one time that I was in, and it was, then the premise was I was learning a new job. This is before everybody did this premise, but this is a long time ago where I had to, and they gave me, and it was a field shoot kind of a thing where we'd go out to a supermarket and I would be a supermarket worker for the day. Okay, yeah. And so it was a small crew. It was like, you know, 3 cameras and a sound guy and a director. Yeah. And the producer that they assigned me really had a vision for what the show was. Yeah. And it was not the same as mine.
And was the show your idea?
Yeah, it was my idea.
Oh, no. Yeah. That's a recipe
but I was
for
new
disaster.
to TV, so they gave me this guy. And we really went at it. Oh. And at one point, and it was a hidden camera show, so I had these sunglasses, or not sunglasses, like prescription glasses.
Yeah, with
but
they
had a camera
in
the thing. And so so I didn't realize I was doing this, but I guess I went in and I took a piss with the camera running, and he released the video as a joke to people. Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, it got ugly. Wow. Yeah.
who won, because sometimes it's like Roseanne. It's like someone has to bend. And with Roseanne, it was like she was getting such big ratings that despite her antics, she ended up getting, Tom Arnold, his own sitcom. She had that kind of power.
Yeah.
So someone wins and someone loses, or even like renegotiation, like the Simpsons voice actors, they all said, hey, if you don't give us $1 million each, we're walking.
Yeah.
This show's been on 25 years. We deserve it.
Yeah.
And like the Sopranos, they walked away. Same with Friends. And so someone has to bend. So in your situation, did this guy end up kind of conforming, or did you have to, or did it end somewhere in the middle?
I think we did one season and the show was not renewed.
And
so,
it was due to the conflict between the two of you?
I don't know. I don't really remember what reason. I mean, whatever reason they give you is never the reason anyway.
Yeah. But in terms of the two of you,
no,
in
we
the
were
eyes
fine.
of the
we
network,
were fine.
like who kind of ended up getting their way more?
Well, he did because I didn't know how to edit, and he was doing all the editing.
Oh, wow.
And the editing is where the editorializing all really happens.
Yeah, especially for a hidden camera show, because you're just kind of improvising.
Right.
Wow, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tricky. See, the reason I like talking to a lot of people don't know about all this sort of political maneuvering and all the different players in behind the scenes in a TV show. You just turn it on and there it is.
Yeah.
But they don't realize the drama behind the scenes. And
what do you think of the best TV shows about the making of a TV show that have ever been done?
I think the Larry Saunders one.
Oh, yeah.
Is that the one with...
it's, the one
Larry
with Sanders.
Yeah, Larry Sanders was amazing.
That was the best.
I think that was the best.
Yeah.
Because I don't love behind-the-scenes stuff. Like
the 30 Rock, I thought, had its moments, but it never really gelled completely as a show. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think what happens, too, is all this stuff we're talking about, as I said off the beginning, a lot of people don't know about this world. So I find whenever I see a movie or a TV show that's about behind the curtain, the average person can't relate to it.
Right.
We can relate to it, like we connect to it. It's like, oh, my God, you can see the humor, you can see the drama. But the average, what? The assistant director didn't go to the writer's assistant, and the prop master didn't go to the gaffer? And I also think it sort of it opens the veil and kind of ruins the magic a little bit too.
There's a show that did a pretty good job of it. It was a British show called Episodes.
Okay.
That was excellent.
Yeah.
It's on, I can't remember what channel it's on, but I highly recommend Episodes. It's about a
Which episode would you recommend of Episodes?
Just the first one.
The first episode
They really
of
should
Episodes?
just call it Episodes.
Just one.
Yeah.
So it
they
wasn't
called it
just
episodes.
one episode is all you need of episodes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you ever had an episode on a bus or on a public place? Like just a total flip out?
I used to masturbate on the school bus.
Let me guess. You probably did it. There's that one seat that's over the back wheel with the hump, and you'd wait till you hit a pothole and just woo, and that was the moment.
I try to time it so that my trajectory plus the bus bouncing would send it all the way to the back row.
Yeah.
Because that's where my friend Tommy sat.
Do you ever hit the bus driver in the back of the head and cause an accident?
Once. Yeah.
I knew it.
Yeah.
There's always that one guy. You're him.
Yeah. And I would sit back there and, I would on the ride home in the afternoons.
Are the other kids knew what you were doing, or was it?
The bus would be pretty empty.
Okay. Just you and the driver?
Just Kenny. He was the driver. And in the mornings, I used to sit up front, and we would talk about muscle cars. He was really into collecting old Mustangs.
I can't imagine driving a car that's made out of mollusks. I mean, that's got to be... I mean, if you hit something, it would be... I guess you could absorb the impact because it's so gooey.
Yeah.
But why you'd want to drive a mollusk car?
It's a Mustang.
Oh, okay.
Chevy. It's a Ford. It's a type of a horse.
Oh God.
Mustang.
What about a Pinto?
Slower.
Yeah, remember the Ford Pintos?
Sure.
I wonder if a Ford Pinto and a Ford Mustang collided, would they just start humping each other?
Or would they go up on their back wheels?
Yeah.
And do wheelies around each other?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is the Pinto the one that used to blow up, or was that the Pacer? Remember there was one, if you hit it from behind, it would blow up? I think it was the Pacer. It had the bubble windows.
Oh, yeah.
John Denver drove one in that movie, Oh God.
Did it blow
Yeah,
up?
it used to blow up. The gas tank was like right behind the back bumper. It was a horrible design.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like the most futuristic looking car that there ever was. It was also a death trap. Yeah. So here's the future. You're going to die. Well, buddy, are you ready for words from a wooden shoe?
Of course.
I think you got that look in your eye that you're ready for it.
Well, you kind of have to shake it out. And do some ujjayi breath.
We did it. You know how it goes. We let you pull a word out of a wooden clog, and then you see if there's a story or a moment from your life that comes from the word. Okay. Have at her, bud. Here we go.
I'm gonna go on the toe.
Oh, there we go. What do we got?
I figured you'd hide a doozy back there in the toe.
Yeah. You never know what's in the toe. If it says jam, I'm gonna laugh.
Something you found.
Oh.
Something I found. Okay.
Oh, here we go.
When I was in college, I was a freshman. I went to college in Boston.
So you just got out of the shower?
And so I'm walking down the street. I just showered.
Because you're a freshman.
Oh, got it. There you go. All right.
Well, I didn't say you were a staleman. Anyways.
And so I'm walking along, and then I see a wallet in the middle of the sidewalk.
Oh, you found a wallet.
I pick up the wallet.
Yeah.
And I go. I was like, raised Catholic. I was raised to be a good young man, and so I went back to the dorm. And back then there was like, the guy, his ID was in there. And I think I must have called like the campus directory where they would put you through to people's dorms. And
okay.
So I rang his room and I said, "Hey, I found your wallet." And he said, "Oh my God, that's amazing. Let me come get it." And there was money in it. And I left the money in it.
Do you remember how much? Because when you're a kid, when you're in college, like $70 is 3 weeks of groceries.
Yeah, it wasn't that much, but it was like 25.
Okay.
It was like 22 maybe.
Yeah.
And so the guy came over to my dorm room, and I gave him the wallet, and he was like, "Thank you very much." And then he kept thanking me, and then he kept hanging around, and he kept inviting me to a meeting. Do I want to go to this meeting with him? Are you Christian? I said, "Yeah, I'm Christian." So then he targeted me as somebody who did a good deed, and so I must be, open to Jesus and his message and his love, and he wanted to share this with me. And so he invited me to this, and he would call me all the time. And then I finally said, all right, I'll go to the meeting. And I don't know why. I mean, I almost just wanted to get him off my back by just going to one meeting.
You didn't find a wallet. You found Jehovah's Witness bait.
Right. Yeah.
That was bait.
Oh, do you think so?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Interesting.
Sounds like it.
Interesting.
That guy just dropped it. Whoever picks this up, we're transforming them.
Wow. And so I went to the meeting, and I'm glad I did because there was a girl there, and I remember she was like a strawberry blonde, and she was beautiful. Wow. Her name was Erin, which was my wife's name. And I started talking to her, and we went out afterwards, and then I ended up having sex with her the next time I saw her. And then the guy called me, and he asked me if I had had sex with Erin. And I was like, well, that's not really any of your business. And he goes, well, it's really not cool that you come to the meetings and and suddenly I was like a sinner, and I was defiling his Bible group.
Wow.
And then the girl never called me again. She wouldn't return my calls, and then he stopped calling me. Wow. Yeah.
Weird. But you get the important thing in this: find a wallet, get laid.
Yes.
That's the real moral of the story.
Something good. Do something good, and something good will happen to you.
Yeah, you returned a wallet, and you got double Dutch.
Yep.
I've never understood the term strawberry blonde, though, because strawberries are completely red. They're as red as this.
Yeah.
So how are they blonde? How are you blonde and completely red as a strawberry? That's like saying I'm red-headed black. Something doesn't work.
Yeah, or midnight blue. It's not blue at midnight. It's black at midnight.
It's black, yeah.
You just can't say black anymore.
Oh, that's it.
Yeah.
But you can say strawberry.
You can, right.
Doesn't seem fair.
No, it doesn't seem fair.
You can make fun of the fruits, but not the blacks.
Right. What about gay blacks?
No, thanks. I'm straight.
I mean, just one?
No.
No.
I'm busy. I checked my schedule.
Yeah.
I'm busy for the rest of my life.
Okay, wow.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah, right till the end.
Yeah.
I'm going to smoke myself.
And then I'm going to... Who's going to give your eulogy when you die? Who would you like to give
I'd like my urologist.
To give your eulogy?
Sure. Sounds like he's already in the zone.
He would just talk about your urine?
My urethra tract.
Yeah, right.
You know, why not?
All right.
If you've already got the title.
I know.
Buddy, before we go, thank you again. Fitz Dog Radio mug. Look at that.
Thank you for putting it on the desk.
Yeah, I love it. And before we go, would you tell the good folks on the Harland Highway podcast about your stand-up comedy schedule, your books, your Instagram, all the stuff you need to know to follow this hilarious gentleman?
Well, what's fun is I got a nice little tour coming up here this spring. So I'm going to be going to... let's see, I'm going to be April 1st. I'm going to be at a theater in St. Louis. I forget what it's called.
St. Louis Theater. Why don't we just say that and let everyone else figure it out?
Then Louisville the week after that. Oh. And then Mohegan Sun Casino in Connecticut the week after that.
Oh, that's a fun place.
And then I will be in Oxnard the week after that at the Improv.
Yeah, yeah.
Or is it Levity Live? Levity Live.
It's right. It's a beautiful club.
It's great.
It's right up the road. And you know they did what they grow out there, which is odd.
What?
It's strawberry country. I'm not even joking.
Really?
They have strawberry festivals out there. It's all flat. It's in like a basin just before you get to the ocean, and it's like strawberry country.
That sounds amazing. I'm going to get there early and pick up a couple of
gross. Oh, I said blondes. You said what?
Oh, gross.
Oh, fat blondes? Like gross ones?
Right.
Yeah, they're fun too. Kind of like frozen manatees, but defrosted. Okay, we got to get out of here now. Let's play the theme music. Ladies and gentlemen, Greg Fitzsimmons. Check him out here on the Harland Highway on his social media. What is it, Instagram?
Greg Fitzsimmons on Instagram, and Fitzdog Radio is the podcast.
Yeah, check it out. Cheers to Fitzdog Radio. Cheers to you, my friend. You want to do a cheers?
To you.
May you be in heaven a half hour before the devil knows you're dead. You said it wrong.
I thought it was before you're gone.
I know, but that seems to me like something the devil would say.
Yeah.
And now I'm feeling a little weirded out.
Yeah.
Like, are you him?
It just felt darker to say dead than gone.
Are you the devil?
Devilish.
Egg.